The roar of engines, the cheers of a crowd, the biggest names in the sport, Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, David Pearson, just to name a few, they were all in Byron. What we know now as the Monster Energy Cup Series was billed as the Grand National Series from 1950 to 1971. The first race on the 1968 schedule was in our backyard at the Middle Georgia Raceway. The track was active on that top tier of racing from 1966 to 1971. It closed in 1986, ending 2 decades of high-banked action in Peach County. Real estate developer Tim Thornton owns the track today. Owning the track is one thing, reliving memories is another.
Would come down here to Saturday night races, and I can remember numerous times seeing Richard Petty race here, David Pearson, and even sitting up here in the grandstands with David Pearson on a particular Saturday night that I never was sure why he wasn't out there racing, and we sat up there with him and chatted with him.
A ticket to Middle Georgia Raceway was worth the money, and it was much different racing than what we see today.
Back then, there was a lot more bumping and grinding, and particularly on a small track like this, there was a lot more action, I guess, would you say. You know, now these days, these NASCAR guys get on the big tracks and draft and run in packs. Shoot, back then, and I suspect it would be that way if you brought racing back here on a tighter track like this, a lot more what we call bumping and grinding.
Turns out, there was a little more than racing going on in Byron. According to a 1967 copy of the Houston Home Journal, a moonshine distillery was found about 20 feet under the track. A trap door was installed in a dummy ticket booth to get to it. That distillery was making 80 gallons of whiskey per day, valued at more than $5 grand a week. Then track owner Lamar Brown Jr. was arrested and tried in 1968. A jury found him not guilty. It was Bobby Allison that beat Richard Petty to the checkered flag in '68. Tiny Lund, Red Farmer, and Dub Simpson rounded out the top 5. Allison took home a whopping $3,300 for the win and was the only car on the lead lap. Today, for the most part, the track sits quiet. The weeds continue to grow. Dodge actually rented the track in 2011 and filmed a series of Durango commercials.
Brought in a special effects crew and equipment from California. It was like, in fact, a lot of the people that actually worked on it said this is like a movie set.
Thornton has hosted several racer reunions in recent years that have brought back names like Petty and Allison. But aside from the race junkie who sneaks out onto the track, racing is done for now. Thornton says if you have $1 million, come see him. And maybe the roar of the engines and the cheers of the crowds can come back to Peach County once again.